Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lesiak Report. This edition, this is actually the supposed to be the Friday edition of the show, but Friday, April 12th, but I am recording it on Thursday, April 18th, because I was busy on Friday and I could not do the show. I'm just announcing that tomorrow the show will probably be aired at 9 o'clock p.m. Chris Dillard, who originally brought me to LMR, well, he's leaving the network, and we will no longer have a show, and it's sad to see him go, but there was some sort of disagreement. He posted something about Stand with Rand on the LMR Facebook page as the LMR account, and well, that didn't go well with some people. It got deleted by one of the other co-admins. He wasn't too happy about that, and over this kind of stupid disagreement, he will no longer be on LMR as the radio host. Sad to see him go, but I'll be taking over 9 o'clock Central Standard Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. The show will air every Friday for 1 hour, and so hopefully tomorrow you'll join me. I'm hoping to have a guest on. There's 2 people. I might have even 2 guests, but hopefully I'll have at least 1 tomorrow. So hope you join in on that show. And I guess I'm not going to be. Well, I'll delve into some news that's been going on lately. Of course, Monday we saw the Boston marathon bombings. 3 people dead, over 180 injured, and Alex Jones is out there talking about first false flag, which it's to be expected from Alex. Anytime something like this happens, he really throws the false flag card, and there doesn't even have to be much evidence. But he said, oh, there were Facebook pages created for this hours in advance of the bombings, and there was some sort of drill that same day. And I think as much as I do appreciate Alex Jones and I listen to the show frequently, I do have a problem with him, hours or even minutes after the attacks happened. So already speculating, and he's just not going to give those families some peace. He's already going to jump to conclusions that fast. I don't really like that at all. And quite frankly, I don't have an opinion on what happened in Boston. It was tragic. 3 people died. But, let's please hold off on the, the speculation. And, I'm not going to delve into who I thought this was. People have said it was Saudis. Some have said North Korea. Michael Moore said, oh, this happened on April 15th. It's Tea Party Day. It's the tax-free day where, the Tea Party started back in 2009. And it's the anniversary of the tax day protest, and it must have been a tea partier, a crazy tea partier who killed those people. There were people from Sandy Hook, the elementary school where you saw the heinous shooting in December, and people speculated it's liberal extremists. I don't really have an opinion. I'm not even going to comment, but it is tragic what happened, and it should not be downplayed. And honestly, I wish that people who, people like Alex Jones would just hold off a bit and not talk about this, so soon with this with these attacks and already throwing theories out there. I don't really buy them, and I'm not really interested in finding out, oh, this is another false flag by the government. Who knows? It's too early to say anything, and you should give it some space. Honestly, that's my opinion. But there's been other stuff going on, and what I'd like to say is this: that well, first of all, since we last talked, a guy named Kermit Gosnell is being charged with first-degree murder for 7 young 7 babies that were aborted, or they weren't. In his abortion clinic, he failed to properly abort them, so he cut their spines with scissors, I think, to kill them off, and the prosecution seeking the death penalty. And you know, and I think the DA back, he's from Philadelphia, I believe, you know, and the you know the district attorney said, you know, if these accusations prove to be true, well, he is a monster. We have a monster within our midst, and you know, I just, you know, I think Adam Kokesh did a pretty good summary of what happened. And so I'm just going to play Adam Kokesh's clip. It runs about 9 minutes. This is about Kermit Gosnell's abortion horror house.
This is a story that I am really shocked I didn't hear of earlier. So I can understand the media firestorm around it now and the criticism going back and forth, because this really should have been one that made national headlines right away. This is from CBS News. Abortion doctor Kermit Gosnell's murder trial sparks political firestorm. Don't you love that his name is Kermit? It's hard to imagine a guy named Kermit doing anything so horrific, which just adds to the horrificness of this story. The gruesome trial of an abortion provider resumes in Philadelphia Monday. The doctor, Kermit Gosnell, is charged with killing a female patient and 7 babies. His name may not be familiar, and that makes some abortion rights opponents angry. The slant of the media here, the liberal slant, it's funny because they've got this like worded into the sentence in such a subtle way. It's not really subtle. But the whole controversy here is that a pro-abortion media with a liberal bias doesn't cover the story. And when they do cover it, what do they say? Oh, those silly abortion rights opponents are angry. Now, I'm against the government having anything to do with abortion, obviously, but I'm pro-life. Life begins at conception. Really hard to deny that simple fact. And an abortion ends a human life. Whether it's justified in one case or another is for the mother and her doctor and whatever they believe in to decide. Now, it's still ending a human life. But to say, oh, this has abortion rights opponents angry, do you think anybody who's pro-life, I certainly wouldn't describe myself as an abortion rights opponent. I don't think you have any abortion rights. You don't have a right to take another life, just out of preference. That is, if you have given it welcome in your body, if you have accepted it, if you have sustained it, to then kill it. But I wouldn't call myself an abortion right opponent. I would say that I'm pro-life or generally anti-abortion. This week, prosecutors will continue to call witnesses as they seek the death penalty against Gosnell. So far, several patients and about a half dozen former employees have testified about the conditions at his clinic. It started 3 years ago as a federal investigation into prescription drug sales, but inside Gosnell's Philadelphia abortion clinic, law enforcement encountered a grisly scene. It's grisly. Wow. Prescription drug sales. Makes sense, right? With the pharmaceutical narco state that is the United States, you know, coming in and actually driving up the prices and creating incentives for otherwise law-abiding people to resell drugs. I mean, this is such a sadly typical American problem now with people, you know, with prescriptions, getting prescriptions filled just to be able to sell them to their friends, or just as dealers selling OxyContin. I mean, you have to wonder, you know, who was hooking up Rush Limbaugh. The clinic has been described as a house of horrors filled with stray cats and animal waste, with 47 fetuses piled into a freezer. And I'm like, wait a second, stray cats and animal waste in an abortion clinic? You can't keep the doors closed? I have to wonder, like, how decrepit is this place? Apparently, it started as what they called a routine drug raid. And the doctor has been charged in the murder of a woman during a botched abortion, as well as the murder of 7 babies that were born alive. The allegations stunned the city. An established clinic operating for more than 30 years and drawing patients from across the country was, prosecutors allege, a house of horrors where Gosnell performed illegal late-term abortions after 24 weeks and murdered babies who survived the procedure. The conditions inside the clinic, graphically detailed in the grand jury report, were squalid, unsterilized equipment that infected women with venereal disease and untrained workers performing procedures and sedating patients. Now, Who do you blame for this? Could the free market have produced this? Could a system of accountability based on an individual's reputation, could it be that if people were able to independently inspect and verify and get the word out and relate their experiences, as at least we're starting to be able to do much more easily with the internet, if there was some system of accountability that we were able to turn to from each other as people that are responsible, acting peacefully, do you think this ever would have happened? Well, surely there was some failure and oversight by the government when people are instead of doing that, instead of turning to peaceful people to decide whether they should go to a certain business, they turn to government and they see, oh, this is a government licensed medical facility that we're gonna make sure that the government said that it's okay to be here, so we'll get our abortions here. Philadelphia District Attorney Seth Williams said the grand jury went to the scene wearing hazmat suits. Gosnell was the target of multiple complaints to the state medical board, but state officials had not inspected the clinic since 1993. This is what you get when you turn to government for the most basic of essential services, like a system of accountability for medical providers. You would think that would be an essential service. You would think you would want that to be held as too important to be trusted to the government. That we should have a system of accountability that doesn't depend on a state medical board that simply brushes these things under the table, either because they're being corrupt and bought off, or because they simply don't care. They have no incentive. They have no accountability to customers to actually provide the services. No, they can just, oh, there's an abortion clinic. Yeah, we have the paperwork. And this is what's so sad, is because the government has taken on this monopoly. When something goes horrifically wrong at a place like this, and you want to be able to complain anonymously and not have your personal medical information revealed, you have to go to government. You don't have an alternative. Walt Hunter has covered this case since 2010 for CBS News Philly KYW. There are images and details of the story that I'm never going to be able to wash out of my mind. But outside the state, few have even heard of the allegations against Gosnell because his trial has received little national news coverage. CBS News reported on the story at the time it broke in 2011. Just last week, a column in USA Today accused the media of ignoring the story because of what it called a bias in favor of abortion rights. Those charges went viral on Twitter and were picked up by Republicans in Congress. Representative Chris Smith, Republican from New Jersey, the obligatory both sides argument quoted for the story, said, will the decades-long national news media cover-up of the brutality and violence of abortion methods ever end? No, it will never end. Criminal defense attorney William Brennan has been involved in many high-profile trials and even represented Gosnell until the drug case became a murder case. Quote, a case involving a medical doctor charged with 8 counts of murder. It would seem to me that just that fact pattern should make national news. But looming over this case is the debate over abortion rights. Opponents say it illustrates the brutality of abortion and how it's taking a human life, while supporters of abortion rights, who have condemned Gosnell, say it highlights the need for clean, safe places for women to have legal abortions. Particularly troubling in this case is the oversight of the clinic. From Ford, quote, there are a lot of things very troubling coming out of this. One of them, people have argued, if this was a high-end medical facility, people would have been inspecting it. But because it serves people on the low end of the economic spectrum, the argument is there's another illustration of people who are just sort of allowed to let slide in the healthcare system. Well, no, it's the government-managed healthcare system, the government oversight of the healthcare system. And if poor people get hurt, geez, you think government cares about that? History would suggest otherwise.
Our orders were to come down here and help out with security.
Well, I know that Iraqis stand in line to come to this country.
I love our troops. I wish I could serve myself, but and I absolutely love our troops. So I'm great.
All right. Well, that's Adam Kokesh on Kermit Gosnell. What else has happened? Well, you've seen what you've seen happen is you've seen the Venezuelan presidential election between the Maduro, Nicolas Maduro, the Chavez protege, who was the former vice president. He won it with about 51% compared to Mr. Capriles is the challenger and the leader of the opposition in Venezuela. Got 49%. Of course, U.S. is calling this election, saying that, oh, there was fraud and all that stuff. And I'm certainly not a fan of Chavez or his legacy. It's terrible in Venezuela. I'm not a fan of him at all. I'm not a fan of socialism at all. He was a socialist, even if he was anti-imperialist. I don't think that takes away from the fact that, you know, he ruled the country with an iron fist. He quashed dissent, quashed opposition, and if furthermore, you know, his economic policies were devastating for Venezuela. But, you know, I'm not sure the U.S. always, you know, calls every election that they don't get the outcome they want. It's obviously got to be rigged. It's obviously got to be staged. And who knows if this was the case. And, you know, okay, so another interesting thing, Mark Dice, who was formerly, you could say, affiliated with Alex Jones a little bit, kind of, you know, he started attacking Alex for some stuff, and, well, he's back doing videos, and a recent one of his went, I guess, somewhat viral. Got about 450,000 views, and he actually, in this video, he was calling, or it was a petition for people to sign, you know, to ban the Second Amendment, essentially. And I'd like to play that. It's a 4-minute clip. You know, hopefully this will work well. You'll be able to hear it very well. So here's Mark Dice. People petition to confiscate guns from Tea Party supporters and repeal the Second Amendment. And he was featured on Fox News for this. So here's a 4-minute clip from Mark Dice.
We're going to just repeal the Second Amendment and take the guns away from the crazy right-wing white extremists, and just make sure that only the illegal unregistered guns stay on the street. Thank you so much. By repealing the Second Amendment, what that'll do is we'll have a door-to-door gun confiscation against the white people, the right-wing extremists. Okay. Take away their guns. Oh, birthday? Oh, my birthday. Yeah, your birthday. Yeah. Just repealing the Second Amendment, door-to-door gun confiscations. Then that way only the unregistered guns will be out, and we'll be much safer that way. Thank you for supporting that. No doubt. Just a name and a signature. We're trying to just repeal the Second Amendment to make sure that only the criminals have the guns and get them out of the hands of the law-abiding citizens.
Right.
To repeal the Second Amendment. It's such an old-fashioned amendment. We're just making sure that the law-abiding gun owners have that right taken away.
All right.
Thank you so much. We're going to repeal the Second Amendment. Yeah. Only the police and the military need to have guns. We can trust them. They've never done anything wrong, and we're just going to get the legal registered guns off the street.
You don't have to convince us, my friend.
This will remove all the law-abiding registered gun owners, and then the criminal sign. The criminals won't turn their guns in, so they'll still have their guns after we repeal the Second Amendment. Thanks for supporting that. Come on, bro. You don't want the kids to die in another massacre like Sandy Hook, do you?
No, but you're just...
Come on.
I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We're going to repeal the Second Amendment.
No, I don't.
And, well, come on, we want to help keep people safe. We can trust, but you can't be trusted to own those guns. The police can be trusted, not you, citizens, slaves. No. Thank you. A chance to win a free Xbox to repeal the Second Amendment. I can't do this with a straight face. What we're doing is we're supporting the Lord. We're repealing the Second Amendment to get the guns off the streets. The police, if you have any problems, you can call the police. You don't need to defend your family yourself. So we're just repealing the Second Amendment. We just supported repealing the Second Amendment. Thank you so much. We're trying to just print.
Even if you have a permit?
Birthday, please. We're just repealing the Second Amendment for all, and a signature. We're just repealing the Second Amendment for all law-abiding citizens. We don't need that. If you have a problem, if there's a threat to your family, you just call the police. You can wait on them. So
That's true.
thank you so much for that. We don't need these Tea Partiers and these law-abiding citizens to own guns. That's for the police and the military, right?
Yeah.
In today's society, we can trust the government enough to be the only people who have the weapons, and we're just going to do some gun confiscations door to door and take them away from everybody.
All right.
Thanks for supporting that. Are you 18?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, just checking. What we'll do after the Second Amendment is repealed is we'll have some door-to-door searches to confiscate the registered weapons, since we have databases of all of them, and we'll just do what we can to get all the guns off the streets. Thank you so much. Okay, I don't know how much more absurd I can be, right? I mean, door-to-door gun confiscations. Holy cow. That's probably enough.
Alright folks, Mark Dice, trolling the people over there. And by the way, I'm running the campaign of a guy named David Williams III, running for Congress in Illinois' 9th District. He's a Liberty guy, running as Republican, Ron Paul supporter, voted for Gary Johnson, former member of We Are Change, the Chicago chapter. Solid guy, please check him out. He's 29 years old, an African-American, former U.S. Navy veteran. If you want to donate, go to dewforcongress2014.com, and you can donate even $1, folks. Even $1 will help the cause. This money was sponsored by LibertyCandidates.com. is going on from today. It'll be going on tomorrow too. So we've got to raise as much money as we can so we can continue operations. And we already have 5,700 likes on Facebook. Our opponent, James Schakowsky, has 6,400. So we're closing in terms of social media. The support is increasing, momentum's increasing. We have a dedicated bunch of staff and supporters and volunteers. We're really going to try hard, and it looks like we will be unopposed in the GOP primary, but if we do have an opponent, it will likely be the 2012 nominee, Tim Wolf, who I worked for. Our webmaster also worked for him, but he wasn't very charismatic. He wasn't a Ron Paul guy for sure. His foreign policy wasn't very good. It was just your typical neoconservative foreign policy. Although he said, "Oh, we should have some defense cuts. We shouldn't be policing every single country," but pro-war, pro-Israel, pro-Israel, supporting the Israeli government slaughter Palestinians and taking away their rights. So if he runs, we should beat him because he's about 60 years old, I think. He's a CPA. He's a big guy. I mean that politely, of course. Yeah, big guy. Not very charismatic at all, and this campaign was run an amateurish way last time around. He got 34%, which is the best anyone's done against James Schakowsky. So we're up against some insurmountable odds, or so it seems, but we're going to do everything we can to win. I'll have David on the Lesiak Report as soon as I can possibly get him on, because I just want him to talk to you guys straight and tell you his opinions. So I'll get into more news, and I'm going to be really skipping around here, but I'd like to play I'd like to do some, I guess, advertising, if you will. The nice thing about Liberty Movement Radio is there really is no advertising, but hosts are free to promote their associated websites, companies, businesses, music labels, anything they want to promote. Even it doesn't even have to be necessarily political. They're free to do that, and that's the nice thing about it. It's completely uncensored. You can say whatever you want, and that's why I love Liberty Movement Radio, and it's good to see that the site is being added onto, and Liberty Movement Radio is growing. We hit 500 likes on Facebook, and all of this is very good. And it is sad to see Chris Diller leave the network, but that's all right. It's fine. He made the decision, and maybe I wish he hadn't, but he made it. But anyhow, I'd like to play a song for you guys, Control by Poker Face. It's my theme song that I'm going to be using for every live broadcast. And, you know, hopefully the reception will be good when I play this, and I'll see it, and I can play some good. But pokerface.com is the website. It's a good patriotic rock band. Paul Tapetti has been involved in a lot of patriot organizations for a long time now. He's a really good Liberty guy, a Ron Paul fan. And he's unafraid to really, you know, sing about, you know, stuff like the New World Order and, you know, globalism, and, you know, he's not afraid to venture where your typical music label or your typical band will never go to. So I got to do some promotion for him, because the band is terrific. So let me play the song. It's called Control, or Break the Control. It's from their Made in America CD, and I think they've released 5 CDs to date. So here's my theme song that I'm going to be using by Poker Face, and depending on how good the reception of that is, might play another 1 or 2 songs from Poker Face. As I said, this show is going to be kind of all over the place, but I hope you'll enjoy it nonetheless. So here's Poker Face and the song Control. Let's just get it to play here, and folks, enjoy the song, because alright, it's playing.
When I was young, my teacher told me that I was free. Yeah.
Alright, well, that... okay, so music doesn't really play well off this. I really need, you know, Eric to play this on the other end during live shows, but not going to work off here on my speakers. That's fine, folks. Well, let me just, I might throw in something good from Adam Kokesh, you know, because you know, he's great. And actually, I do have another Adam Kokesh clip I want to play. It's a great one. Okay, and
we go now to r/.
Alright, folks, Adam Kokesh. Great
from
libertarian guy.
self.civcraft, a joke I wrote for the ANCAPs, submitted by Wild Weasel No, one of consequence. I was walking home one evening and came upon a clearly depressed man standing at the edge of a bridge, looking. We go now to r/anarcho-capitalism. From self.civcraft, a joke I wrote for the ANCAPs, submitted by Wild Weasel No, one of consequence. I was walking home one evening and came upon a clearly depressed man standing at the edge of a bridge, looking like he was about to jump. I called out to him to wait and ran over to see what was the matter. He lamented, "It's this country! It's falling into ruin, and there's nothing I can do about it. The election was the last straw. I don't want to live on this planet anymore." Well, cheer up. We're all in this together. Say, are you a conservative or a libertarian? A libertarian? That's great. See, you're not alone. Are you a free market libertarian or a libertarian socialist? And he said, free market libertarian. Me too. Paleo-libertarian or neo-libertarian? Paleo-libertarian. Hey, so am I. Chicago or Austrian School of Economics? Austrian. Me too. Hayek or Rothbardian strand? Rothbardian, he said. Same here. Are you a consequentialist or deontological libertarian? But unfortunately for him, he said, consequentialist. So I said, die, statist scum, and pushed him off the bridge. Which reminds me, how many libertarians does it take to screw in a light bulb? None. The market will take care of it. What did the Keynesian politician say when he was caught cheating on his wife with a prostitute? If I was sleeping with my wife, I wouldn't be contributing to the GDP and creating jobs. At least, I can't wait to hear that excuse.
That's complicated.
All right, folks, Adam Kokesh. You can tell by now I'm a fan of his. Well, I thought that's good because that illustrates the kind of narrow-mindedness of some libertarians. You know, some libertarians who believe in, you know, that there has to be this kind of rigid ideology. There's no room for disagreement in the libertarian movement because it's a broadly defined movement. You have pragmatist libertarians. You have some libertarians that are even socially conservative to an extent. You have pro-life libertarians. You have the radical libertarians. You have anarchist libertarians. You have, you know, anarchist falls under the anarcho-capitalist label, but, you know, you have different, really, libertarians of all stripes and colors. And I thought it was kind of funny. It illustrates sometimes how people perceive other libertarians, you know, one small disagreement between two people, and they're like, "Oh, you know, you're not a libertarian. You're a statist scum." And I thought that was a pretty good joke, and I'm sure those close to this network are gonna get what I'm talking about. Well, folks, I guess what I'll do now is I will let me think. Well, I'll play to you Adam Kokesh versus Colonel Allen West. Colonel Allen West. The long day. Colonel Allen West, who is former U.S. Congressman from Florida, represented it for 2 years, from 2011 to 2013. He lost to Patrick Murphy in a very close election. And here's what Kokesh, the other 6-minute exchange at this year's CPAC event. So here goes Adam Kokesh versus Allen West. Alright, let's just get this to play, and there we go.
I'm not leaving you because Michelle will be here all the
Oh, you flying back
I am. No, I'm not. I'm leaving you for the day.
We don't get no hug, you just wait for the day.
Alright, well, I'll be attended so you have everything.
Alright.
Michelle,
You're not
don't
leaving
mess
for the
this
day.
up.
I'm Kokesh. I'm a fellow veteran. I was in Iraq, and
Thank you for your service.
well, you know, one of the things that I realized when I came home is that the people we were really serving were the profiteers of war, the military-industrial complex, the politicians that benefit from war being the health of the state, and I
I'm not leaving you because Michelle will be here all
Oh, you flying back
I am. No, I'm not. I'm leaving you for the day.
We don't get no hug, you
Sorry about that, folks.
I'll be attended so you have everything.
Alright.
Michelle,
You're not
don't
leaving for
mess
the
this
day.
up.
I'm Kokesh. I'm a fellow veteran. I was in Iraq, and
Thank you for your service.
well, you know, one of the things that I realized when I came home is that the people we were really serving were the profiteers of war, the military-industrial complex, the politicians that benefit from war being the health of the state, and I appreciate that you know, noble desire to want to serve the country, but I feel like often when we come back, you know, the reflection of the services provided to veterans and the issue with military suicides is one that really reveals the true attitude of government towards the enforcement class, towards those that would, you know, sacrifice and risk their lives to defend fellow Americans. Do you think that when we have this situation where we have such an endemic of veteran suicides, that there's any deeper truths to be learned from that about either the nature of war, or from your experience, the nature of combat, or the nature of the government's attitude towards the troops?
I think there's a variance of factors. There's economic factors. A lot of people coming back and, you know, having a difficult time, you know, I guess, inserting themselves into the society, not having the job opportunities there. I believe the most important thing we can do, we can get more veterans who have served on this current modern 21st century battlefield to be in leadership positions, in elected office, to be in positions in the Pentagon, what have you, to help make the right decisions. You know, we can't continue to have, you know, veterans, you know, doing 5 and 6 combat tours of duty. That's very stressful, not just on them, but also on the families.
What do you think is unique about this particular global war on terror, this particular situation, the way the military is being used, that's led to such a dramatic problem with suicides? Well, it's been a problem in previous conflicts, but particularly now.
You know, I don't know if If you look at it going back to World War II, you could have seen the exact same thing, especially in the Pacific Theater, where there was, an incredible stress on those men that were out there in the jungles. Vietnam, the exact same, especially when you look at the continuing problem with Vietnam veterans, the homelessness and the joblessness. So, yes, we do have a problem that we look at now within the last, 10 to 11 years since we've done this global war on terror, which is a misnomer in itself. But, the guys in the uniform are trying to do the right things to provide the services to help these men and women in uniform, also to help the families. One of the great things that I saw when I was up there was the first time that you ever had a joint hearing between the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. That had never happened before, so that we don't have that gap in transition for someone, especially in the Guard and Reserve, that comes back.
Well, I just want to say, because it's been it's been 10 years. I got back in 2004, and even then it was a problem. I mean, the fact that it's still a problem would reveal that the politicians are more in line, and I think you would be an exception to this as a veteran on Capitol Hill, in the minority when you were serving on Capitol Hill, but that they're more in tune with what Kissinger described as an attitude towards government. Military men are like dumb animals to be used as pawns in our foreign policy. I mean, do you feel that that's in any way relevant to the way foreign policy is being conducted by our government today?
Well, you would have to go and talk to those people that are making those type of decisions. I think it's reprehensible that when we have this whole thing about sequestration, we're talking about taking away veterans' tuition benefits and things of that nature, when we have $200 to $300 billion of redundant and duplicative programs sitting over there in Washington, D.C. So do I think that we have a generation that is coming up of leadership over there that is totally disconnected from the military? You're absolutely right. And I think that it starts with the American people. Once again, understanding, much as they did coming out of World War II in Korea, you saw 75% of the people that served took off their uniforms, they put on suit and ties, and they went on and continued to serve their country in elected office. That's how you make a difference.
Well, I appreciate your time, sir. Just one final question. For me, as a veteran of Iraq in particular, do you think that conflict was in the best interest of the American people?
Well, we can sit here and play armchair quarterback all day long. There's some people who sit around and say, should we have dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? The alternative was that you want to see another million Americans be killed on an assault on mainland Japan. So I don't know if we will see the long-term ramifications at this point, but I will tell you this, that when I sat in a meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu back in 2011, he asked us one simple thing: don't zero out your troop presence in Iraq, because as soon as you do that, you will allow Iran to extend its regional hegemonic dominance. So if that's something that our most potent ally in the Middle East said, that's a consideration that we should have taken into account. So I think that we'll see down the line what happens. Look, we went into Libya, and all of a sudden we've got Al-Qaeda there, we got Al-Qaeda in Yemen, we got Al-Qaeda in Algeria, we have them now in Mali. So this is a very complex battlefield that we're on. Maybe
this is where I really differ from my experience as a veteran. I'd rather see the U.S. military used for defensive purposes, not expanding spheres of influence. But I appreciate your time today, sir.
Expanding spheres of influence. I think that when you look at this global world that we're on, when you think about the sea lanes of commerce and things of that nature, we have an enemy that doesn't play by the rules of boundaries and borders and what have you. It means that we need to have a different philosophy.
Why do they hate us?
We need to, well, you need to go back and read the Quran, the Hadith, and all this. They've been fighting against Western civilization since about 628 AD. So this is just a continuance of that.
All right. Thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Iraq.
All right. Well, that's Adam Kokesh with Alan West. And all right, folks. That's some Adam Kokesh there. Should I go for one more? Let's see. Yeah, I'll go. I'll play one more clip. I actually haven't seen this one. This is brand new. Came out today. But yeah, folks. The reason I like Adam Kokesh is that I'd say I identify with Adam Kokesh more than I do people like Jack Hunter or Rand Paul or Mike Lee, who are on one end of the so-called liberty movement, and on the other end you have Alex Jones, you have Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change, you have Adam Kokesh, you have these people who are, who aren't just talking about liberty, they're taking it further and talking about government-sponsored terrorism. And of course, Jack Hunter is not a fan of We Are Change, not a fan of Alex Jones. He's not a fan of Kokesh, I bet. But, I do like Adam, and I appreciate the work he's done. I really think he's doing a great job informing people. And I do really enjoy his podcasts. What I found interesting is that on his Wikipedia page, I read that Adam actually how should I put this? That Adam actually well, he I guess endorsed Ron Paul, or because he aired on Russia Today, RT America, which is a subsidiary of the International News Corporation that is pretty much funded mostly or almost entirely by the Russian government under Putin. And that when he was endorsing Ron Paul and asking for contributions to as presidential candidate, was he violating some sort of rules and regulations which prevent an international corporation from soliciting for money for a U.S. presidential election? And that's what might have gotten him kicked off Russia Today. But I think that he does a great job with his YouTube videos. And let me just play one clip. This is from CPAC 2013, published today on the YouTube page, and it is called "Conservative is Happy, Adam versus the Man Exist." All right, let's go.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate it. I don't agree with you on everything. I agree with you on a lot of things, but I really like how you do your show, and I really like the sort of, you don't really care too much about what the repercussions of the stuff that you it's cool, and I admire that. I think that's really nice.
Well, thanks, I appreciate it. You want to have a conversation about CPAC and what you're doing
here?
Here?
Sure.
Let's find the stuff we disagree with.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. We'll hype
that. What's your name? Where are you from? Why are you here?
My name is JD Bryden. I'm here from New Jersey, and I'm here because CPAC shouldn't just be old white guys.
Wait a second. What's the point of being conservative if you can't make sure that you're only surrounded by other old white guys?
Maybe expanding the base, trying to do something that's productive.
Well, what does it mean to you to be conservative?
It means that I don't want to tell people how to live their lives. I just want to be left alone, pretty much, and not pay excessive taxes. I don't mind paying some taxes. I just want to, cohabitate peacefully and don't have people, on my butt all the time.
Well, except for the taxes part, that sounds pretty libertarian. But if you're willing to pay taxes, I mean, isn't that like saying, I'm willing to give the mugger a little money to keep him from busting my butt? Like I'm willing to give the mugger I'll just give him my cash and let him go because I'd rather just go along and get along. Wouldn't you rather have a system where to get the services that you get from government, you're able to choose where your money goes?
Yeah, but I also I like the idea, and this is a place will differ, but I like having the military. I like having that available as an option. Something that I might not be able to hustle together enough people in time, just in case that we get attacked by another country.
Well, couldn't we have a private company?
We absolutely could, but it's something that I think it's worth having on retainer constantly.
Yeah, sure.
We could definitely have a company do that.
Well, let me ask you, at what level?
It's quality control.
At what level? You want to call the government quality control? That's
no. I want to call certain aspects of the military quality control. There are certain things that the military does pretty well, I think.
You've obviously never been in the military.
I have not been in the military, no.
I mean, we're good at killing things and blowing shit up, but
that's the part that I like, that we're good at. That's what we should be good at when it comes to defending ourselves. I want to have the person that's attacking me to get blown up and killed.
Yeah, but the problem is the way that the military does that, since it's a coercive monopoly enforced by government, is that they end up doing it to the wrong people, the wrong things, in a way that makes us less safe. But I understand the need for some defense, and we want to be able to defend ourselves from external aggressors. But at what level? Like, if the federal government was never formed, if we stayed under the Articles of Confederation, or we stayed as 13 independent states after the Revolution,
we probably would have gone to war with each other.
Why is that?
I think that the difference is, obviously we did go to war with each other for a period of time there. But I think that we would have gone, instead of banding together, it would have been really a weakening thing for us. It's nice to have at least some common bond. I'm not sure that there would be one there if we stayed broken apart, as various states that didn't have that kind of umbrella.
Well, by that principle, shouldn't we unite as a global government, as a society, and then we can have protection at the world level, and then nobody will attack us? I mean, it sounds like an argument for a collective, and you're saying we should have a bigger collective because it makes us safer.
I see the slippery slope that you're trying to get at, but I think that we do have some innate commonality between us here. I do think that we have, and that's something that helps.
Who's we? Collectivist you?
Yes, really. I'm not wearing my F.A. Hayek shirt today. I'm sorry. I would have been a better interview, I guess. But
it's easy to slip back into the paradigm of statism, the collectivist language, but you got to get it challenging these underlying concepts.
Absolutely, I think that that's something, and you need to have that, and that's why I'm really happy that you exist. I like seeing a counter argument. I like seeing more stuff. And that's another thing. More speech, not less speech, is something that makes me really happy that you're here, because you offer a different perspective than the average. You're not National Review Online. You're not
That's an official endorsement. Better than National Review Online.
Oh, I didn't say better. I said different. Yeah, I said different. More entertaining.
More entertaining than National Review Online. Yes. AdamVersusTheMan.com.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and it's a pleasure watching.
Well, thanks. Keep thinking. You'll keep going down the rabbit hole. I promise.
All right, man.
I'll see you on the interval. Thank you. What is government?
All right. Well, I don't know. I'm conflicted. Should I play any more Adam Kokesh, or should I just maybe stop with that? And let's see, Adam Kokesh and Ron Paul versus Peter Schiff at CPAC. I'm not sure if I should do any more promotion for Adam Kokesh than I already have, because I've done a lot of promotion. But let me just talk about a few more issues. And this broadcast has been kind of one big advertising of fellow liberty-minded fellow liberty-minded individuals like Adam Kokesh. He rejects the patriot label because all this discussion about it being part of a collective, he doesn't identify as a collective. He identifies as a free-thinking, beautiful individual. Is what he kept on arguing at CPAC. And the CPAC videos are entertaining, and they are worth the watch. If you get the chance to go and look at the Adam Kokesh at CPAC, he continues to upload them today. New video, and CPAC was in mid-March, I believe. Yeah. So interesting stuff. Check out Adam Kokesh. Check out Poker Face the Band. Check out Mark Dice on YouTube. What happened today? CISPA passed the House. 196 Republicans voted for it. 29 voted against. And, well, again, I don't want to be part of the Republican Party where that many people vote to tax and regulate and censor the internet. But CISPA passed the day. The gun ban was defeated. The Harry Reids and Dianne Feinsteins were obviously suffered a setback. But, so I guess what I'd like to get on is this. Let me just, I have the newest issue of American Free Press at my fingers. But this is the April 18th and April 15th issue of American Free Press, so it's relatively new. And maybe I just want to go over some stuff, some interesting stuff I found here. And again, since this show kind of turned into promotion of stuff that I like, I'll promote American Free Press as well. For a student subscription, it's $49. Regular is $59. You should check them out, AmericanFreePress.net. It's a weekly newspaper, and there's some really good stuff in here. They're pretty courageous. They're not afraid to tackle, issues that other media places would be scared to death to even consider thinking about running. So here's what I'd like to. Here's what we got. So in Britain, the British National Party, the BNP, has attacked the quote-unquote Zionist UK Independence Party, UKIP, because of its support for Israel. In a statement posted on the website, the BNP said Israel treated Palestinians as less than human, as quote-unquote less than human. It added that UKIP has sold out to the Israel lobby. Quote, what nationalists could feel sympathy for the Palestinians, could not feel sympathy for the Palestinians' plight, excuse me, asked BNP. What nationalist could say that the Palestinians do not have a right to their own state on their own land? You know, this is interesting because Nick Griffin, I believe I remember him saying that the British National Party opposes. You know, they're pretty how should I put it? It's anti-Muslim party. You know, you could even, I guess, throw out the label Islamophobic. Not a fan, but they don't like the surge of immigrants from Muslim countries that are coming into London and other cities in the UK. So it's interesting that now they're supporting the Palestinians' plight against Israel, because I remember Nick Griffin, you know, supporting Israel and having press releases in support of Israel. They supported Israel in the 2006 July war between Israel and Lebanon. You know, they kind of I think they viewed that from the perspective of, oh, you know, the Israelis are fighting against the common enemy that we have, and that's the Muslims, who are on a global jihad to take over the world. But, you know, obviously, I do like the UK Independence Party, Nigel Farage, whatever it is. You know, the BNP is an ultra-nationalistic party with connections to fascist parties. No, I don't support them. You know, I don't support the whole nationalism, ultra-nationalism, the borders on fascism, extremism. I don't support that in any way. So they're right. The BNP is right on this issue, but so many other ones just discredit them. And, you know, in my view, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to you know, control immigration, control people coming into your country, but you know, the BNP is pretty far out there. Okay, that being said, so recently. Obama signed the United States Israel Enhanced Security Cooperation Act of 2012 and increases the aid given to Israel from $8 million to $11 million a day. While some states are going bankrupt, and more Americans are in food stamps than ever before, the new law hands $40 billion in U.S. taxpayers' money to Israel over the next decade. Money the Israeli state says it doesn't even need. Okay, interesting stuff here. And now I'm looking at a column by Chuck Baldwin. SPLC releases annual list of worst haters. Senator Rand Paul, Sheriff Richard Mack, American Free Press, Officer Jack McLam are on this. Who else? Let's see. Conservative Daily, Liberty Counsel, Stuart Rhodes, Judicial Watch, things like this. You know, the SPLC really not to be trusted, and some other names include, well, there's obviously Chuck Baldwin, there's Jack McManus, president of the John Birch Society, Larry Pratt, president of Gun Owners of America, writer Joel Scouse, and there's Andrew Napolitano, and of course there's Ron Paul. And this is like Chris Matthews. He went with the story about how right-wing, anti-government extremist groups are on the rise. He labeled We Are Change and the Constitution Party as right-wing extremist patriot hate groups, or whatever you want to call them. So, you know, there's not really much to be said other than the SPLC is really off its hinges. It's a left-wing propaganda machine. So there's one sheriff in Maryland, which is trying to push gun legislation. Governor Martin O'Malley's for that. He's standing up against the gun grabbers, so that's good. Sheriff's name is Mike Lewis, and there's an interview in American Free Press with him. Okay, and then there's an article about this. Criminal intrigue in Russia, preceded by kleptocrats' demise, and it's about Boris Berezovsky and his recent death. And here's an update on Bilderberg 2013. James P. Tucker Jr., who is a veteran Bilderberg hound, been on Alex Jones several times. He's traveled to every one of their meetings since like 1975 until the present. He wrote a book about it. So they're he's talking about. Okay, so this was a trilateral commission meeting. Michelle Bachmann was in it. John Kerry was in it. Usual suspects. But yeah, Bilderberg is getting ready to plan. So now we're talking about the whole gun ban, which thankfully it failed right now. Then there's an article about how Israel is trying to sabotage peace. They carried out an assassination on Ahmed al-Jabari, which it's not surprising. Israel, they're not interested in peace. They're interested in perpetual war. That's what keeps the health of their state alive. War is the health of their state, and they need this constant thing. Oh, they're being threatened by world jihad or Iran or whatever. And obviously they need our support. Okay, and interesting here, there's some articles on health freedom. Sedgwick, Maine declares total food sovereignty. City ordinance passing gives citizens right to produce, consume any foods they want. The right to produce and sell raw milk. Declaring all local food transactions of any kind free and legal. Maine's a good Ron Paul state. Ron Paul nearly won that state. Mitt Romney beat him by only 2 points in the caucuses, and by all likelihood they were probably rigged, and Ron Paul won them. So Sedgwick, Maine is the first city in the U.S. to free itself from the constraints of the federal and state food regulation and the FDA. So legalizing raw milk, meats that are slaughtered locally, and produce just about anything you could possibly imagine. More Maine towns are completing this. It's a declaration of health freedom. Interesting stuff here, folks. Interesting stuff. There's other stuff. I do suggest picking up American Free Press if someone distributes. I'm lucky enough. There's a place in Chicago that actually has American Free Press, which is really good. But back to this this Maine town called Sedgwick, Maine. Okay, producers and processors of local foods in the town of Sedgwick are exempt from license. And this section provided the transaction is between the producer or the processor and the patron when the food is sold for home consumptions. And of course, local farmers are happy. Good stuff that's going on. Fighting for health freedom, for local sovereignty. And okay, so this gun grabbing bill has been put on hold, at least for now, which is a good thing. But okay, and then there's here a bunch about Gitmo, how Gitmo is continuing to be used despite President Obama's promise that it wouldn't be. It's still being used to torture prisoners and all sorts of things that America supposedly is not supposed to stand for, but it nonetheless does. Okay, and we come to Ron Paul. How much of this can I just tell you? So Ron Paul writes, kicking the neocon war addiction. Okay, so William Crystal knows what's wrong with it. So he addresses William Crystal and his weekly standards. It's a neoconservative organ, if you will, if I may use that term. So he talks about a bunch of stuff here, and criticizes Paul Wolfowitz. He criticizes the rest of the neocons, and the interesting thing now, Ron Paul has started his organization called the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity, which is really good stuff. I watched the whole video, and I consider playing the whole 54-minute video on the show, but then I'm like, you know what? That's just going to take up way too much time. I can have a lot of separate clips instead of just one huge one. I'd recommend seeing that video. Adam Kokesh is great, and that Ron Paul Institute is good. There's Walter Jones, current congressman from North Carolina. It's on the board. Thomas Massey is, I believe, involved. He was in the video. Who else? You got Dennis Kucinich, who was involved with the group, and Jimmy Duncan from Tennessee, who was the last remaining congressman from the Republican Party that voted against the Iraq War in 2003. a very hard decision considering he was from a military district that was generally neocon and pro-war, and he stood as principal. So good stuff going on with Ron Paul. And like I said, folks, a lot of promotion for stuff. Check out Adam Kokas, check out Mark Dice, check out the band Poker Face, which has produced my intro music for this show. Right now we'll be going either 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock Central Standard Time every Friday. So that's good stuff that's going on. And folks, with that, I'll conclude. Thanks for tuning in to this, unusual broadcast. We played a lot of clips, but hopefully you'll enjoy it, and catch you guys next time. So thanks for listening to the show, and I'm signing off right now.